Hello, everyone. Let me know if you can hear me, see me. I want to start off today very briefly by saying I'm overwhelmed and thank you so much for all the birthday wishes. Some of you guys went above and beyond, um, and things came in the mail. These earrings included. Thank you, Alicia. I felt the love, and so thank you. YouTube's telling me I'm not receiving enough video. YouTube was very glitchy yesterday. I couldn't go live. I took a video of it. I'll post it in the Discord later. Hello, April. Hi, Shauna. Hi, Michael. Hey, Zoe. Hi, Juan. Always feel like the romper room lady. So, you know, thank you. Uh, I'm old enough to take you all out on a senior citizen discount now. Hi, little John. So thank you all so very much for that. I definitely felt the love. Some of you will be getting thank you emails. Things still keep coming in the mail. Um, but thank you to everybody. So last Sunday I didn't go. I didn't go live. I didn't do the normal tarot because in the light of everything happening, it seemed so reductionary and it seemed so antithesis to everything I encourage, which is feeling our feelings, and we all need a little escapism here. We all need to do whatever is best for us. The brain will do what the brain has to do to keep us safe physically. Um, so I thought all week about how can I show up for not only this I guess the community that normally kind of hangs out, the regulars, if you will, here, but to anyone that this video wanders into their space. And I decided that what we needed to do today was not tarot, but to look at what we can do. We don't have a lot of control over what the people in authority are doing. We can have agency. Of course, we can call our senators when we don't like a bill. We can get involved in community. We can do our civic duty. But we as humans are not meant to be taking in the visuals and the news as is currently, and the atrocities around the world watching for the last year. um, I don't want to use the word because I don't want my video to get flagged, but we all know what's been happening um, on the other side of the world, and people who are just seeking aid, and the children that are being affected, and starvation and everything else. And we're all at a place where do we become numb to it because we're acclimating to those images? And I think that the need to pull away from it doesn't dismiss what our body feels, what our trauma triggers feel. And so we can do what we can only do, right? And then we still are dealing with the dysregulation, and also, especially my little community here, but every single person has abilities. Every single person has we all have intuition. Some have more developed gifts than others, but we are all, sentient human beings. We all feel, and we all can see things that are going on. We hear things that are going on, even if we're trying to shut it off. And so spiritual hygiene can really help a lot with that. Grounding exercises can help with that, and exercises that can help put your nervous system back into parasympathetic can help with that. This is what I can do right now. Am I doing other things? Maybe. But for my community, I want to be somebody who shows up. I want to be about it and not just talk about it. And I have this trauma informed education. And so I thought this was the best way for me to give back, and just, I'm going to set an intention that anyone who could possibly benefit from this video will. We're going to use slides today to keep me on track. We're going to talk about all the ways that you can practice. And also, I want to give you pragmatic, easy to do. If you are out in public and you hear something, if you are home with your kids, and while we are, everybody parents different, if maybe you need to regulate yourself, but you have an audience, I want to give you tools. I'm going to put them on the table. I'm going to leave them as an offering, and you'll pick up what you need to pick up when you're ready to pick it up. Okay. There is no, you have to, there's no test. There's no passing or failing any of this. This is just offerings so that we can all deal with that we're not meant to deal. We're our bodies, our brains, our nervous system, and our spiritual centers are not meant to deal with the influx of what we are dealing with right now. I, as an astrologer, would love to tell you by next week, all of this goes away. We stop having icy conditions in places and people being taken without due process. I would love to tell you that there's peace here and overseas. I would love to tell you that the Constitution is going to be more honored than it currently is. I can't do that right now. It does get better, but it doesn't get better tomorrow or next week. Okay. And so, without going over the current astrology, what I implore you to do is go over to Lori's Awake Space Patreon. I believe by the end of the week, she will probably have the recording of her 2026 year ahead. She certainly has the 2025 recording available. And I believe at certain levels of her Patreon, if you don't want to purchase that, I think that at certain levels of her Patreon, you get that for free. That's where I'm going to send you to get the mundane astrology. Lori is also an incredible, beautiful human. And her hubris never prioritizes over her compassion and her humanity. And so it's safe to go listen to what's coming there, because she will also give you ways to help yourself to create agency. We one of the a million things that she and I bonded over is the fact that we all have agency. The best way to deal with times like this is do what you can for yourself, right? So that's the other side of this. And I would encourage you, when we're done here, to go sign up for anywhere she is available, social media, but her Patreon mostly. And she does the whole year ahead. She's brilliant and amazing. She is the GOAT with that. So if there's food shortages or blackouts coming, you can prepare. And if you want me to do a little video on that, I certainly can give you some ways to prepare. But go to her for the specs on what we can be expecting, so to speak. I am here for how we physically, spiritually, emotionally deal with that. When we have gifts, quite often, it's hard to tell what is an incoming intuitive premonition, what is a psychic hit, what is a claircognizant hit. And what is an intrusive thought or just dysregulation or a trauma response? This is all normal. If you are having a kind of tangled up mix between your intuition and your trauma response to intrusive thought, that makes you human, does not make you crazy. There is nothing wrong with you. If you are having a hard time dealing with everything right now, that makes you human, and there is nothing wrong with you. Okay. Again, I am putting the intention in that anyone that could possibly benefit from this video will see it, because we're all experiencing it. Yes, even with the ones of us who have training, even the ones of us who know the astrology ahead of time, it still doesn't mean that we are meant to take it all in and deal with it. Like, it's nothing. I would say that if somebody is dealing with this or cheering it on, and we can see that too, and that's really part of it, right? The disappointing fellow humans who are cheering on some of this stuff. That's more an indicator of a serious problem or some kind of instability than you feeling like this is very difficult to deal with. There are also a lot of people in this community and out in the world who have dealt with their own trauma, and that some of this will trigger, and that maybe have struggled with sobriety or emotional or mental health. I mean, I think all of us have had experiences where we've had to prioritize our mental health. It does not mean crazy. Mental health and crazy those are not, that is not the same thing. People shouldn't be weaponizing also. If you have a need to hunker down, if you have a need to shut everything out, if you have a need to laugh, to distract, that should not be, you are allowed. We all have to put our oxygen masks on first if we're going to help anyone else, if we're going to help community, if we're going to help more vulnerable people, more marginalized communities. We still have to put our oxygen mask on first, right? We know that from life. I'm going to get into the slides, but I just want to say that, like, if you need to watch this, that doesn't mean there's anything wrong with you. It doesn't mean you're fragile. It means you're human. It doesn't mean that you are crazy. It means that our brains are not meant to take all of this in like this. Okay, so I have a fuck shame platform, and the first rule of that is we do not shame ourselves. We don't. We're always doing, as my lovely friend Vita says, we are always doing the best we can with the tools that we have and where we're at in journey. That doesn't mean everybody's doing the best that any human can do. It means we are all doing the best we can with the tools, the information, the knowledge, right? And also the safety that your brain allows to keep you here. Different people are at different levels of healing because that's what they can deal with right now, right? And they'll get there when they're supposed to get there. So this is for anyone and everyone. There's all levels of what you can do. And again, these are all really practical, pragmatic. You can do them. If people are surrounding you in a 1-inch radius, you'll still be able to do a lot of these, and no one will know. It will be no one's business that you are dysregulated and have a need for regulation, grounding, or spiritual hygiene. No one's business but your own, okay? Let me start sharing the screen. There we go. Okay. You guys let me know if you can see this. I just want to let you know that I cannot see the comments while the full screen slideshow is up. So if for any reason somebody is asking a question or saying hi, and one of my moderators sees that I am not responding, please let people know that I will answer, and I will acknowledge them as soon as the slideshow is over. It will not take long. Okay. Ooh, so let's talk about what it feels like if we are dysregulated. It could be cold extremities. It could feel like nervousness. It could feel like you have to shut down. You could go from having energy to feel like you absolutely have to lay down this moment because your body is just trying to keep you safe and shut down and not take in any more stimulation, right? It can manifest in a lot of ways. If we feel overwhelmed and fearful around, am I getting psychic hits, or is that an intrusive thought? That is where the spiritual hygiene will come in handy. If we feel like we are feeling everybody's stuff, I worry for clairsentience, people who feel, you have a lot of people walking around saying I'm an empath and I just can feel everybody's stuff, and I get that. It's one of my two strongest gifts is clairsentience. The incredible, incomparable, beautiful human that is John Edwards said the most wonderful thing, and I loved how he described this. Put it into words much more succinctly than I probably ever could. But he said, if you walk around saying, I'm an empath, it means you're giving permission for you to pick up and feel everyone else's feelings. It's like risotto. Whatever you cook risotto in, it will absorb. So if you cook it in white wine, it's going to taste like white wine. If you cook it in chicken broth, so on, it's going to taste like chicken broth. You don't want to absorb everybody else's feelings. Spiritual hygiene and boundaries are so important. You are a metaphysical being. Don't walk around calling yourself an empath. It's like verbally giving permission to take on everybody else's feelings. And there are people who literally can feel other people's feelings. I'm one of them. I know what that feels like. Being able to distinguish what is your emotional, spiritual, intellectual property and what is not, because you are just a gifted human being, is super helpful. And as the lovely John Edwards says, don't be risotto, be a metaphysical practitioner with boundaries, with hygiene, okay? Grounding, when we are not grounded, it can feel like we're very in the headspace and we can't get out of the headspace, and people are talking to us and we feel very distracted. And there are ways to change that too. And that happens in moments of overwhelm, when there's stuff that you're hearing that, like, I can't hear that. I can't hear that. I can't do anything about it. And that's important. Feeling like you contribute in some small way is wonderful. If you write a letter to a local legislature, if you drop off cans of food at a homeless shelter or a food kitchen, whatever small way you are comfortable in participating, I encourage that, because the knowledge of that for yourself will be helpful to both grounding and regulation, and probably spiritual hygiene as well. First, I'm going to say I would prioritize the regulation of my nervous system back into parasympathetic if I am feeling overwhelmed by too much spiritual intuition combined with intrusive thoughts, if I'm feeling ungrounded, if I'm feeling lots of overwhelm, anxiety, anxious palpitations, any of that. The first thing I would do is try to regulate, because then the spiritual hygiene and the grounding you do from there will be more effective. It's hard to ground, and it's hard to really fully bring in the spiritual hygiene prompts and feel them and own them when we aren't dysregulated. So these are backwards. First thing I want to show everybody to do if you are dysregulated, and my OGs know this, is the 5-5-7 breath. Really, anytime that you exhale longer than you inhale and hold, you are helping to regulate your nervous system. The 5-5-7 breath is optimal. If someone is having a panic attack, if you have a child having a panic attack, if they're really hyperventilating, they're not going to be able to breathe in 5 and hold 5. It is fine to start with 3-3-4 or 2-2-3, whatever anybody's capable, and work up the way to the 5-5-7. And you can repeat this as many times as you need until you feel the calm, until you can breathe normally, until you can feel the regulation happening. But we're going to do it together. And my favorite thing about this is the best thing to have in your back pocket, because tapping is great. Go watch videos on tapping, right? There are other ways to regulate your nervous system for sure. This one you can do if somebody is right here arguing with you and they are triggering you and dysregulating you. They will never know. No one will ever know. You can do this in front of somebody and with complete privacy at the same time. That is why it's my favorite. We're going to take a deep breath through our nose for 5. Deep into your belly. Think about pulling that until your belly feels almost full. We're going to hold for 5. Then we're going to release very slowly, and you kind of have to think about how slowly you're releasing until your shoulders are relaxed and your belly is empty of that breath that you were holding. And the more we can breathe through the nose, the more cellular repair. Breathing through the nose gives you like 30 times more cellular repair and help with the nervous system than breathing through your mouth. So we're going to breathe through the nose. Let's do it again. And I'm going to do it without talking this time. And I'm going to do it a third time. And I'm going to show you how you can do this with somebody right in front of you, with your kids right in front of you, at work, wherever. I just did the whole thing, nodding and smiling while somebody's talking, or nodding and giving them resting bitch face, whichever is appropriate for you at the time. And no one will ever know. Do it as many times as you need to. Another way that we can regulate a dysregulated nervous system is to cross your arms with your hands. Your hands will be kind of near your clavicle. And this is called a butterfly hug. But what we're doing is we are tapping. This is called bilateral stimulation, because, and we're tapping one at a time. It's not like this. We are tapping one at a time because our brain now has to engage in the intermittent tapping. Also, your lymph is here. There's just a lot. It's good. It'll get your lymph flowing. But this tapping, this butterfly hug, creates the bilateral stimulation in your brain to kind of bring you into regulation physically. If your brain is feeling overwhelmed, now it has to, right? It's kind of like patting your tummy. And is it patting your head and rubbing your tummy? We used to do that in the 70s, but this is just a nice way. And honestly, you could kind of do this slowly, and maybe if somebody knows, if they know, they know, and they'll be like, ooh, butterfly hug. But you could also do this. This is also a lovely thing to teach children. Those are my favorite ways to regulate the nervous system, especially if it has to be done quickly. I'm going to skip to the grounding. Okay. Ways to ground. Obviously, we can touch grass, touch a tree, get outside. There are grounding mats. Sometimes you can make something that's sterile for your house. Get an old box, cut it out, and you can put moss in it, and you can use that as a grounding mat. You really don't have to spend money on expensive grounding mats. You can grow anything inside of a box that you already have, and have a grounding box if you want. Now, listen, if you don't have any of that, you don't have 2 pennies to rub together to even get the moss or grow something inside it. That is absolutely fine. There are many other ways. And sometimes people live in apartments, people are at work, they can't go outside and touch grass. It's not, it's inclement weather to touch grass or a tree. It's not always convenient. There are ways to sit and meditate. You could put it on root chakra music. However, I want to give you ways that you can ground when you are anywhere. So if you are feeling ungrounded, and that means you are in a headspace and you are going back and forth, if what if this is next, right? Sadly, we're out of place. Almost no matter where you live, where we have to worry about the food and the economy and people's safety. And there are communities that every day in every century for every presidency or any leadership who worry about their safety, especially in this country. And I see you. It's a lot lately. And so it makes sense that people are going, do I need to move? Do I need to, is it safe to go outside and vote? Is it safe to go to a protest anymore? Is it safe? It doesn't feel safe because we're being shown it's not safe. And again, I know that this is not new for other people. When you are really getting away with the thoughts, and you have every right to those thoughts, and some people, this is not your imagination. In no way am I saying somebody is crazy, dramatic, exaggerating for not feeling safe right now. That is not this. You are less help to yourself and the ones that you love if you are completely dysregulated and not grounded in a situation when you are not safe. To clarify. So one of the quickest ways to ground is to think inside. If you're home by yourself, name it out loud, or if you're just comfortable, you can name them out loud. But when we are not in our body, it's not helpful to be overwhelmed mentally, right? Or what it's doing to us physically without still being in our body. So one of the ways to come back into our body is to think of 3 things you can feel. I can feel my hair, and I want to think about, how does my hair feel? It feels nicer here and it feels really dry here, right? Because I'm coloring, getting rid of the dark. So it feels a little dry, it feels a little crackly. I can feel my skin. What does that feel like? Do my knuckles feel different than this part of my arm? What else can I feel? I can feel these earrings. And I love the way they feel with all their detail. Okay. I can feel that they are metal. And the more that I think, the more detail I give, the better, the more I'm going to ground. And my hands are being worked and my brains are being, 3 things I can see. I can see my screen in front of me. I can see my giant amethyst, and it's purple and crystally and shiny, and it's darker in some places than others. I can see the picture of me and my dad that I always keep on my desk, of me from my wedding day, and him looking so handsome like a professor in his old-fashioned tux. And I can see the Lenox frame that I know my mom gave me, that's ivory and has all this beautiful, right? 3 things I can hear. I can kind of hear the motor running a little bit on the computer. I can hear my phone buzzing because for some reason I'm getting a ton of messages right now. And I can hear a dog 3 doors down. 3 things I like to taste if I'm not currently eating anything. I love a rainbow cookie, which are the little Italian cookies. I don't drink it anymore, but gosh, I love the taste of Dr. Pepper. And I love caprese salad. I love the texture of it. I like the smell of it. I could wear basil as a perfume. The more detail you do, the more this reconnects your brain back into your body because you're using your senses. It forces you to come back into your body. All of this is easier done when we take shame out of our vocabulary. Now, if you've ever had a session with me, if you're a frequent flyer in the community, you know that I have a fuck shame platform. Healing has more of an uphill battle when we are still shaming. And the other part of shaming is judgment. It's really hard not to judge people right now. And if somebody is being cruel to other humans, having loathing and judgment for that is normal. Judging people for what they're wearing, how they worship, who they love. We are all intelligent here. If you're wandering into my community, I know you're intelligent and you know the difference between judging somebody because they live differently than you, or you wouldn't do things like them, and judging somebody because they are being harmful to other people. Okay. But taking shame out of your vocabulary when you are experiencing a trauma response is really, really important because you are less likely to keep repeating the cycles that bring you into dysregulation, to bring you into not being grounded. And, you know, all of these prompts, all of these regulation hints and tips and grounding hints and tips and practices are all going to be something you can have and use for the rest of your life, right? So on a normal day when we're not being inundated with all this inhuman conditions around us, these are all still good. And we want to make sure we're not shaming yourself. So if you are realizing you're having an intrusive thought and being like, oh God, I hate when I do that. I feel crazy. I'm so stupid. Why did I do that? I should know better. Those are all shaming. Those are all shaming phrases. And I want you to think, would you say that to a child? I want you to stop and I want you to think, would you shame a child like that? Because you developed those trauma responses in childhood. I would drop my mic, but it's expensive. If you would not say the things that you are saying to yourself, to a child, please stop. Because the nuanced behaviors, the trauma responses, whether you know that they're trauma responses or not, the things you don't like about yourself, the things you want to change, the things that you feel are cyclical or you don't love about a behavior when you're looking back on it, are all trauma responses you developed in childhood to survive that childhood. Yes, even if you were fed, even if you were loved, even if you had a roof over your head, even if there was no cataclysmic lifetime drama worthy trauma response, trauma event, there's still, I mean, until we really get a hold of our parenting, which this, you know, generations, thank goodness, are doing now. If you've seen those videos where people sit, I'm tempted to make one with my youngest and say, I brought you into this world, and they're letting their kids finish. And it's, you can't help but cry because we know, most of us adults over 35 know that the answer to that was, and I'll take you out. Children should be seen and not heard. None of the kids these days are finishing the sentences like that, right? We're changing it, we're doing it, but we can love our parents and still say that we have trauma responses in our daily behaviors and in our response to stimuli, in our response to triggers. And if you wouldn't shame a child and say those things to a child, then do not say it to yourself. A healing has a much harder uphill battle in shame. Okay, let's finish up with the spiritual prompts. The first prompt, always, always, is spirit. And however you address your team, I don't care if you say God, Thanos, or Care Bears. I don't. That is your business. It's not mine. You want to say angels, spirit team, ancestors, guides, ascended masters, whatever your combo. Mine is universe, spirits, and guides. That's what I say. But spirit, or however you address your team, always. I call back my power to me now from anyone using it or anything using it with or without my permission. Because we may lend a little of our strength to a friend. But when we're going to be doing spiritual hygiene, you want to call back all of your power. It doesn't mean you won't be able to give somebody else your strength or help somebody out, right? But we can't live in the stasis of being drained, right? We have to fill our pitcher back up. The next prompt, spirit, however you address your team, I release any energy, physical, intellectual, or emotional property that is not mine or not my highest good. Again, we could be feeling things for our child, our partner, our parents, and that is beautiful. That is beautiful evidence of connection. And also, put your oxygen mask on first. Every once in a while, you need to clean that out. Spirit, or however you address your team, please do not show me or allow me to feel, see, know, or physically manifest anything that I cannot control or do anything about. A lot of you are psychic. If you wandered onto this video, you're either fully developed, pretty developed, or in the middle of developing your psychic ability, right? Maybe you're just starting on that journey. You may be feeling things or seeing things to come, hearing things, and you can't do anything about it. If you cannot do anything about it, then there is no reason for you to be shown that in any way. It's not helping you with your daily life. If you are not in a position where you either have training, you're trauma informed. I'm trauma informed, and I still tell spirit, don't give me anything I can't do anything about. Okay. This is so important right now. All the spiritual prompts, this one's probably the most important. Call back your power to you. And if you only do one, do this one. Please do not show me or allow me to feel, see, know, or physically manifest anything that I cannot control or do anything about. I feel like we skipped one. Maybe not. Spirit, or however you address your team, please send me a physical sign that I can easily recognize when I'm having an intrusive thought, not an intuitive hit. I have talked many times about your pineal gland. It's really here, but we see it as here. And because of energy, if you keep your hand right about here for a while and think about the energy like a ball bouncing back and forth to your third eye, to your hand, you can often feel your third eye kind of tingle. You can feel something in your forehead tingling, right? You can ask spirit, make my third eye tingle. But to practice what that may feel like, you can use the ball from the hand to the forehead thing, right? And then in the back of your head, that is your library of knowledge. Imagine library doors however you want them, if they are wooden carved and look like they belong in the middle of a Hobbit movie, or whether they are glass and modern and very cool, whatever you want, great. But I want you to imagine doors, right? Kind of in the curve of that occipital. Hopefully you were not left in a crib your entire infancy and you have a curved head. and open, and that is your library of knowledge. And you can ask Spirit, give me a sensation towards the back of my head if this is something that I know, and it can be towards my third eye or my pineal gland if it's an intuitive hit. Now, here's the other thing. What if it's not either? What if it's an intrusive thought? What if it is fear because it feels like every day something new has happened, and the things that we said that will never happen in our lifetime, we're watching happen, right? And so the third option is to give me an easily recognizable physical sign when it's just an intrusive thought. Okay. And so for here, you can ask for your shoulders. You can ask for whatever. If you're already somebody who has kind of the whole willy woolly operation guy thing worked out with Spirit, where different sensations in different parts of your body mean different things, pick some place you haven't. If it's an intrusive thought, make my toes tingle. If it's an intrusive thought, make it feel like there's, a warm sensation right up by my clavicle. You can choose what it is, but create a prompt between you and Spirit. Create language. You should always be creating language anyway, so that this is an intrusive thought. I don't have to worry about it. You can make it the palm of your right hand, like you're going to throw it away like it's trash. Whatever works for you. And the last prompt, Spirit, however you address your team, please transmute, which means take the energy. Energy is energy. You're going to put it through a car wash, a spiritual car wash, and clean off the stunk of whatever. And it comes out just clean energy. Now you can use it wherever you want. Okay. Please transmute any negative energy that's being sent to me or that I unknowingly picked up into, you choose. Do you want it for health? Want it for energy? You want it for money? You want it for love? You want it for whatever you want it for. I mean, you can do prompts where, like, when anybody, please transmute any energy, any shit talking. If anybody's shit talking me, turning it into glamour magic, take a gray hair away. You can transmute anything into anything. Right now, I would do it in the way, like, negative energy. I would take that and put it into stability, into clear pathways for what to do next, for regulation for my body, for abundance, so that I have financial security to deal with whatever comes next, right? And just a reminder, we're taking shame out of all of it. Oh, let's close that out. Hi, Hollywood. Thank you. I hope everyone will find that helpful. Things will eventually get better. It's Neptune in Aries and it's Saturn in Aries. It's up to us to it's up to us to rebel a little, and not be complacent, and also stay safe. And I understand how 6 months ago it seemed physically safer, but to rebel, to protest, and for some it feels not safe to exist. And so finding that fine line of what you can do starts with making sure you're okay. It starts with making sure you're okay. Does anyone have any questions about any of the spiritual hygiene, the grounding practice or the regulation of the nervous system practice? AARP, yes. I feel like the screen looks so blurry and I don't know why. I clean the camera. The slideshow should be done. Yes, it is. Okay, great. We will get through this. It's going to be bumpy, it's going to be crunchy. Again, I implore you, knowing before you go is like knowing the conditions before you walk in a room. If you thought you were going to walk into a museum and have a tea party, and it was one of those dilapidated old prisons turned haunted house that's terrifying, you would not be ready for that. But if you love Halloween and you know you're walking into a haunted house and you're reading the sign that says, don't touch the actors, we are mentally more prepared for what we're about to walk into. Okay. I know for some people, they avoid looking at maybe the astrology or what have you. I promise to mosey on over. I talk about it a little bit here. I mostly talk about how you can use the energy weekly for yourself, right? On a personal basis. If you want to know what's going on, when to prepare for food shortages, whether, and everybody should be preparing for that. Everybody should be preparing for possible blackouts. Gosh, they have all kinds of solar chargers on Amazon. I hate using Amazon, but that is where it's more easily, readily. If you're worried about those things, if you're worried about weather events, please wander over to Lori's page. And again, she's an academic. She's intelligence. If you have not heard the story, she got into astrology to prove it wrong. she is also a compassionate, lovely, lovely human. And she does not have the kind of hubris that would ignore how people can receive the information when she shares the information. It's not to say, look how right I am all the time. We have fun with that, right? But it is to give you the opportunity to know before you go. So you don't think that you're walking into a month of like, oh my goodness, there's nothing but abundance and peace in the world, and you're walking into the haunted house kind of thing. I'm not saying the whole rest of our lives are going to be like this. I'm not. But knowing before you go also helps us not feel constantly nervous. Good. I'm glad it was helpful. If you are watching this, okay. Yeah, I'm not going to use that P word you used, although I get it, just because it invokes a whole other um uh you know people associate that with fear mongering, but being prepared 100%. Okay, so anyone who's watching this in the replay, first of all, thank you so much. As we all know, most of my views come from replay viewers. You guys are yes, Michael, you guys are the GOATs, the MVPs. Thank you for the people who join the chat and then watch it again later. People who keep me on repeat in the back just to support the channel. I appreciate this. Please share this, copy the link, and put it anywhere. You can email it to yourself, but the more that YouTube sees the sharing counts almost more than a like. And the views, even if you keep on silent, if you've heard me enough and you're done with my voice, because it will get it to more people who really need it. And leave me a comment. I go out of my way to answer the comments. Also, I'm running a sale. Probably should have said that in the beginning. I'm running a flash sale for my birthday. It's just 55% off any appointment that I have on my website. And if you go to book astrology through me, it's going to take you over to Awake Space anyway. And I'm offering 150 off the 30-minute astrology consults as well. The code for the 55% off is 55, capital F, and Jupiter Cancer, capital J, capital S, as the code over on Awake Space for that 30-minute. Okay, I love you, now you love you. And I'm here. If you need me, you can always email me. All the stuff's in the description box. Bye, everyone.